Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blank Gates. Welcome again. We continue to talk about resources and capabilities that are needed so that your endeavors can succeed. And today is day 87. It's the day 87. I think today is day 87. Starting to lose, starting to lose. I don't know, what is it? What is going on actually in this process? Why am I starting to lose track as we creep closer to the end of this 101-day challenge? I don't know, but let's keep going together through these difficult times and keep focusing on what's important, which is the themes that will help you to think about the business that you are engaging in, or the business that you plan to engage in, or if you want to look back to your old business experiences and think about why they were successful or why they were not successful. Now, today, we're going to talk about something new. So we've talked about skills. You were able to do an audit about the skills that are needed in your endeavor, and then the skills that are available. You thought about whether you can use internal training systems or whether you need to acquire those skills from outside of the organization. You thought about data. You considered whether or not you have enough data to make decisions. You thought about whether that data can be developed internally or whether you can acquire or get that data from outside of the organization. You considered entities, and you thought about whether you have the ability to organize your programs so that you can meet the desire of involvement with other entities, whether it be human capital that wants to get involved with your organization, or whether you have enough sales support to handle the amount of customers who would like to use your services, or whether that be whether or not you have enough support staff to handle the questions from your current customers, or whether you have the internal support systems to manage the providers who would like to give you support, whether your management systems are strong enough to manage the people in the teams in your business, and also to manage all of the functions of the different departments. And you also thought about reputation. So you thought about what type of reputation that you would like to build, what you'd like to be known for, how your company or how your team members, individuals are talked about outside of the organization, and the steps that you could take in order to maintain a strong reputation and to grow that reputation. We talked about loyalties, so the loyalty to principles and also loyalty to different groups, and how loyalties can provide for you certain types of resources, or having resources available during times of need. Also having loyalties so that you can have protection, so that you can work within a larger society. And then today we are talking about something that is much, much, much easier to talk about. Because skills is easy, right? And data is pretty easy. Yes, of course. Entities, meeting, like number 3 was meeting desires for involvement. And sometimes it's like, wait, what? Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, I do need to understand, like, where are those connection points? How am I connected to other people? How are other people connected to me? And are there places where there's too much, there are too many people, or too much attention that's needed on one end of the channel, and there's not enough on the other? So, for example, like if you have a billion people who are trying to get onto a website, can your website handle all of that? If there are a billion people who need to talk to customer service, but you don't have enough customer service representatives, or if there's a billion people who want to purchase your product, but you don't have you don't have the systems to enable those purchases to be made, or it goes on and on. That every function within your business, it has to be able. The key word is scale. Can you scale? Can you grow with the demand? So though I guess that one's pretty clear also. Reputation, I mean, for me, when I was thinking about like this as a resource, it was like not quite as clear. Like, how is reputation a resource? But yeah, I mean that I think reputation also connects with branding. So your brand is a resource, and there are some brands when you hear the name of the brand, you're like, okay, I know what to expect. I know the reputation of that brand. Or if you hear, like, there's certain people where, you know, you hear a certain person's name and they have a reputation. Loyalties. I think loyalties was the most abstract for me when I was first working with this concept and how loyalties. But then, as you, especially as an introvert, like if you're an introvert and you're used to being like just relying on yourself and wanting to do everything on your own, this is one of the challenges that I faced when I was in film school. So when I was in California, I spent about a year in Silicon Valley. I also spent a year in North Hollywood, and I was taking acting lessons, and I was also attending one of the film academies to study directing. And I failed. I failed as a director. And why did I fail as a director? And this is an interesting crossover that helped me understand my personality better and helped me understand my personality within a business context. And the idea is that a director cannot do everything on his own, and it doesn't, or his or her own. And it doesn't matter if you're making a movie or if you're managing a business. So in a movie, if you watch a movie to the very end, you have this thing called credits. And when you look at the credits, you can see each of the departments and each of the roles, each of the positions. You can see every single individual who had anything to do with the making of this film. And as you can figure out quite easily, a one human being cannot do all of those things. I mean, like, okay, I'll give you an extreme example. So I have a couple of, so when you do acting, you have to make some short video clips, and then you send those short video clips to people so that they can see what you look like when you're acting. And in one in one case, in one in more than one video actually. So I've made a couple of short films, and I've made these little, these little snippets, these little you act, you do a scene and you videotape yourself. And the thing is, like, I acted in one video. I acted in both parts. So I put on the makeup and the clothes and everything, and I was one character, and I filmed myself sitting in one chair. I was a psychiatrist, and then I put the video camera on the other side of the room, and I was the patient. So I was actually having a conversation with, I mean, in the film, they're two different people, but both people were played by me. I was the person who set up the lighting. I put the camera in place. I put the microphone in place. I did everything. And in another film, I made another short film where I was trying to work with a group of people, but I wasn't getting the support from the actors and actresses. I mean, it wasn't a paid situation. And so what I ended up doing was I used Barbies, like little dolls and toys, in order to film the entire film. And I don't know, 7 to 10 minute film. And I wrote the script and I filmed the entire thing. There's even part of like, so I attached like some dental floss to a car, and then in one hand I'm holding the video camera, and in the other hand I'm pulling the dental floss to make the car move in the scene. So, like, I literally did everything. But the thing is that if you want to do everything in a film, you're only ever going to be able to produce Mickey Mouse films. Mickey Mouse films. So Mickey Mouse films, it means like simple, like not serious, and not professional films. And that is like with loyalties, what you realize is you have to have loyalties in this life to be able to move from a small scale production to a large scale production, from a small scale business to a large scale business. You have to learn to manage people. And you have to also, your business has to have loyalties with other businesses. You have to fit within the framework of the larger economy in order to really grow. So, funds. Now, when we talk about funds, when we talk about money, then what we're talking about is gathering or growing resources and practices appropriate for an endeavor. So in this case, we're talking about growing. No, in this case, we're talking about gather. Well, if you're making money, then obviously, I mean, there's two ways that you're going to get money. Either you are going to earn the money by selling your products and services, or you are going to get the money from outside of the business, whether it be by raising money somehow, or borrowing money somehow, or somebody gives you money, or you sell ownership of your business for money. But it's likely that if you want your business to grow, to hit the next level, then you're going to need a lot of money. Now, what are you going to do with that money? So obviously, funds are going to be used according to Thomas Buchholz. He says funds might be available to acquire products, services, ownership in companies, and so forth. So in his example of this hire a salesperson example, he says funds. He says, okay, so acquire services, the compensation package for the salesperson, the salary and benefits, and also the money to support the sales work. So there's going to be a budget for the sales staff in order to support their work, and then there will be the money to actually pay that person. And in every role and every goal, in every project, in everything that you do as a business, there's going to be a need for funds. Now, later on in the book, there's another section where he makes this statement. So he says, acquire or use these funds to accomplish this end. All right, so anytime that you need money, the first thing that you do is you have to write down what do you need the money for, and be very specific. Exactly what will the money be used for, and how will it be used? And then you have to figure out the budget, how much money is going to be necessary to do that thing. And then there's this other thing, all right? So then if you talk about bootstrapping, then the next question is there something that we can do to replace the need for money? Often there are different ways, different strategies where you can achieve the same end with little, less, or no money. And if you're doing a startup situation, then that is quite important to figure out. Is there a way that we can do this without spending money? Because every time that you can, they say a dollar saved is a dollar earned. And this actually reminds me of my experience also in North Hollywood. So when I was in North Hollywood, I remember going to an acting meeting for the first, like one of the first times. And this guy was talking about a guy. So there was one actor. He was starting to get famous. He made a bunch of money, and then he spent all that money, and he didn't have like a project right around the corner. And then this older gentleman, he said, this is a very common situation. The first time you make big money, then you just end up spending it all. It's like you don't because you don't know really how to manage money. You never had money before. All of a sudden money just appears and you just start spending it like crazy because that's all you've ever done, because you've only ever had enough money that to cover the things which you need. And then all of a sudden you have this money, so you think that you need everything. And then he said the second time you earn a whole bunch of money, you watch every single penny. So, and that's where I'm at in my life. So the first time I made a bunch of money, just went out, I just started spending things, buying fancy cars, going on fancy vacations, doing all kinds of things, and never thinking about where that money was going. And now the second time around, as I start to make more money, I watch every penny. And as you manage a business, you may find that your second time around, you'll be more successful. Because in order to properly manage a business, in most cases, especially in this difficult time, I mean, some businesses is difficult. I guess some people are just, all kinds of success are going their way. But if you're watching this video, it's likely that you've had some, I mean, everyone experiences failure to some point. And so having some strategies to manage the opportunity to fail less is definitely a benefit. And to have some strategies to spend less money and make more money is also a good idea. This has been Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.